Check, check, check. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3.
Let's at least kind of audio.
I think it's enough.
Six little job. Yeah, it's a lot better. It's not a little bit better. I can fix that. Check, check, check. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3.
And all the things.
Good stuff.
But I envy a lot your microphone. And I
of mic
think that sooner or later I will leave it.
Well, we should take a moment to note that I can't think of any gathering where there's been so many top open source project people in the one place. Amazing.
The audio seems good now.
Smooth audio now, Maksym.
Yeah.
Is that YouTube?
Yep.
Because if not, that's a lot of delay in that echo.
All right, I think we've got the audio. Hopefully, let's see if there are some comments on the chats.
Doug. Good boy. Okay. Trying to teach my dog to use the dog doors. So I'm hanging out here so he's enticed to come visit.
Good stuff.
All right, well, we'll assume that everything works unless we hear otherwise. So sorry about that, and welcome everyone. Nice seeing you guys. Some of you again, and some new faces too. Actually, quite a lot of new faces. So we're really nervous. But anywho, so we got a little opening presentation that we really want to go through to basically recap some of the things we've done last time and brief everyone of what is kind of overall plan for this this venue essentially. Let me start my presentation here. So, let's see if it works. This. Don't see my. Oh yeah, it is on the screen. And then to do present. Seems to be working.
Yeah, looking good, Max.
All right. Okay. Just give me a sec. I'll switch the browser layout. So there is something else going on, not just my face. Whatever. Sidebar. How do I get everyone back? The screen.
Yeah, we're all seeing the first slide. Fine.
Yeah, but it's now it's a little bit complicated here because I'm trying to also use my browser.
Right.
Anyway, I think it's good enough. We got audio, so I'll just, you guys still see it, right?
Yeah.
Okay, good. All right. So how did it all started, and what was the idea behind it? Basically, we here at SIPI Software are a pretty small business, so we really looked at the SIPIt, and there was events going on pretty much since SIP was started in 2003, where they got together several or multiple commercial vendors in the same location and get them test SIP traffic going around, fix bugs, and make other improvements for the interoperability. So anyway, we looked at it for a number of years, but it was quite unaffordable for us as a really small business to send people there, and basically at some point we finally managed to go there. It was OpenSIPIt'01 in New Hampshire, and we really liked it. We met quite few people in the industry and in open source community up there, but unfortunately it happened to be the last SIPIt that happened overall for reasons not very clear, but anywho, we still love SIP, and we use it obviously for our own business, and we see it growing as well. So we see new RFCs being approved, and we didn't kind of miss that interop. We think that it's some of the missing piece right now. So we set up this event essentially to fill the gap. Also, what we saw in the past several or more like 10 years or 15 years is that most of the SIP stacks that people are using in production environments are partially or fully derived from open source project of one sort or another, or sometimes several. And that's combined with those new RFCs. Basically, we see there is very little coordination going on between different projects on implementing those RFCs, so which essentially kind of causes those RFCs are not very quickly to be adopted because people are waiting for other projects to implement, and nobody really comes forward to that. On top of that is obviously the open source voice over IP space or SIP space is quite fragmented. So there are language barriers. By language, I mostly mean programming language barriers and some political barriers, technical and so on barriers. So one project implementing those RFCs pretty much has no huge impact on other projects' efforts needed to implement the same RFCs. At the same time, yes. So basically, we also see new implementations coming up to the scene. So sometimes it might be even useful to test some of the old RFCs as well. Then just to clarify, we still think that SIP is very alive and very relevant in the coming at least 10 years to come. It's a pretty good standard for what it's used to, and what is more important, perhaps it's product of agreement between many interested parties, commercial parties overall, and those agreements reached with to provide for real-world use cases for the protocol. It obviously field-proven. And another thing that we like about SIP is that it's quite composable, so you can take different projects of doing various things with SIP and then hook them up together pretty much as a pieces and build a larger system to provide larger, bigger set of features or whatever. We also think that SIP is pretty extendable, so as we see, it's basically not. There is no big issues adding features or changing the protocol, and yeah, it's widely adopted by the industry these days. So it's de facto standard, pretty much. But there are some challenges as well for the bright future. Security is never-ending issue. We don't expect it to be reasonably expected to be ever resolved. Then, as the technology becomes more widespread and popular, there is also lots of misuse and abuse going on. So some of the parts needs to be tightened up to prevent this, which is the case for the stir shaking, for example. There is also, it's more for the future looking, but we expect to see at least some interesting use case where the protocol has not been really designed to handle round trip times that are much larger than we have on here on Earth. So there might be some changes needed there. But anywho, also on the bright side, we see that people are still who have been with SIP since early RFCs are still around and still active. For our first event in September, we got quite good response from the community, and many thanks to everyone who participated. We also have Livio joining me and David to help with the organizational part of the event, and very nice to have you guys. And then we also see quite a lot of fresh engineers joining the open source projects and creating new ones as well. And also these days we don't really need to have to fly everyone with rack of gear to some central location. Technology has improved, so we can run those events at relatively low cost and without much overhead. And as well, real-time communication collaboration tools are pretty good and getting better. So we try to utilize it as well. So yeah, that's kind of our goal for the future, to have 2-3 online events a year as a baseline. Obviously, it will depend on how much new RFCs are adapted and whatnot. And we see our past event as a proof of concept, and it worked very well. In this time around, we focus on refining the process and scaling it up a little bit. We will still look at making some quick improvements, finding bugs and all that. But we also hope to learn a lot in the process and make next event even better. And then, as it's been discussed internally with our team, we might also have some once in a while event in person where we can get in close proximity. Once we can get in close proximity anyway. Yeah. So David is pushing that through. We'll probably make some presentations pretty soon, at least, if nothing else.
Yeah, just to give a little bit of information on there. There's an event called IT Expo that's happening in Miami Beach, 22nd to 25th of June. And there's going to be a track in that conference called Open Source World. And I'm hoping some of you guys are going to be participating, or at least your projects are going to be represented. And I'm also talking with the organizers about the possibility of having a little bit of an interop time, but that's nothing formal agreed just yet.
All right, thanks, David. Okay, let me put my presentation on screen. Back on the screen. Yep. It's a little bit smallish. All right. So yeah, let us know if you guys would want to attend at some point. Definitely like to see you guys. Now we got quite a lot of new people and projects participating. Maybe David, if you can introduce everyone, I guess.
Yeah, sure.
Nice.
Very, very grateful for having you all join with us. There's many more people than there were when Max and Liviu did the proof of concept back in September last year. And I think it's a real credit to the community that people have stepped up. As Max was saying, the original SIPIT events, excellent though they were, did have quite a high barrier to entry. For people kind of flying around the world and showing up to places like Monaco, which sounds quite glamorous, but it presents a bit of a difficulty for some people to get there. So we're very grateful for you joining us. In terms of who we've got here, I wonder actually if we could just go round and introduce ourselves. So that people get the best idea of who we've got represented. And at some stage, Max, maybe towards the end of the proceedings, we should actually get a screenshot with everybody present, because that would be a nice little sort of keepsake. Anyway, and also, of course, I have to extend big thanks to Max for actually pushing this along as well, and creating an opportunity for us to get together and do some kind of good in real life. Anyway, I'll start. My name's David Duffett, open source communications enthusiast, and very pleased to be here along with Max to try and help take some of the administrative and sort of promotional load of the goings on. And so I'll be here for the duration of the next 4 days. Shall I hand to you, Max, just in case people have not come across you before?
Yeah, that's 3 days, but thanks, David.
Sorry, 3 days.
Yeah, I'm Maksym, or Max for short. Sobolyev. I'm CEO of SIPIT Software. We develop soft switches for mostly class 4 customers. But over the years, I've been participating in or contributing to quite a lot of, or at least several, I would say, open source SIP projects, which are Camellia OpenSIPs. We did some work with Asterisk in the early days. And we also had over the years developed some of our own open source code, which is RTP proxy, and we also have SIP B2BA and Stack, 2 versions of those, Python and Go. So yeah, that's kind of the background, and I'm also kind of SIP enthusiast. Been to quite a lot of OpenSIPs and Camellia worlds, and hopefully we'll have those back for us to go and enjoy. Yeah.
Great stuff. And since we've got 2 Mike Jerrises in now, let's go with Mike next.
Now, which does a bunch of CPaaS stuff with FreeSwitch as its audio core, and we've got a bigger team than we ever have, and I think we've got four of us in here today. Working on
you're heavily represented here.
Yeah. So working on lots of cool new stuff, and whipped out some stuff for this as well, and excited to poke at the new toys.
Yeah, we're grateful for your participation, all you folk in there. Great, thanks, Mike. And what about Andrew? Shall we have Andrew next, please?
Hello, everybody. My name is Andrei Volk. I work at engineering in SignalWire, maintaining FreeSwitch. I'm the one responsible for Sophia SIP library, that huge beast made by another guy from Nokia. So we continue finding bugs, improving that library, working on that even right now. So looking forward at our meeting and conversation.
Great, thank you. And Andrei Pilipenko, should we go to you next, please?
Thank you. I'm colleague of Max Sobolyev. I'm author of Golang version of SIPIt'01 also contributor to many projects, just small bug fixes. Basically, yeah, that's all.
Great, thank you very much. You're beginning to get the impression we've got a very wide range of folk that we're blessed to have. Liviu, you're in my top corner. I'm not sure whether we're all actually seeing people in the same order or not, but you go next, please.
Oh, no, we're definitely not. Hi, everyone. My name is Liviu Kircu. I am an OpenSIPs developer for, I guess, close to 9 years now. And during this time, I've not just done OpenSIPs related work, but with our company working on various VoIP solutions and platforms and solving various problems, I've also have this role where, you know, the guy that does a bit of everything. So that's as far as my technical expertise goes. And also, at least before this whole madness started, we used to do a lot of traveling, and we took part in all of and a lot of open source conferences, or where I gave quite a bit of talks there. And last year, Max started this initiative with OpenSIPIt'01, and slowly I started getting more and more involved. And you will be seeing or hearing a lot more from me tomorrow, I guess, where I will be hosting the stir-shaken warfare, and we'll see how all that unfolds, if we have enough time, because if you didn't catch up with the first event, definitely the debugging of the implementations required quite a bit of time, and hopefully I will manage to organize things better for tomorrow and the day after. Okay.
Good stuff. Thanks, Liviu. Okay, let's go to Sandro next. If you'd like to introduce yourself, please.
Thanks, David. Hello, everyone. Sandro Gauci from CEO at Enable Security. And yeah, I think to this community, I'm mostly known for having developed SIPVicious, the open source SIPVicious. Since then, it's been kind of 14 years. So since then, I started my own company, and we are really into offensive security in the real-time communications world. So yeah, we've been contributing to this community in various ways, by releasing security tools, by submitting security reports to open source projects like Asterisk and so on, and then releasing advisories so that security fixes get pushed. So yeah, we're really into the offensive side of security when it comes to voice over IP. Recently, we've been working on SIPVicious Pro. So one part that we're interested in when it comes to OpenSIPIt is kind of to make sure that SIPVicious Pro actually works well. That's one part. And another part is to see if there's anything interesting in terms of security where we can contribute from an offensive point of view. You guys mostly build voice over IP software which has defensive mechanisms, which need to be tested from an offensive point of view. So that's kind of our part, I think, and we're happy to contribute in that way. Yeah, and on a day-to-day basis, yeah, we're doing penetration testing, security assessments, security audits, especially related to real-time communications. What else? Yeah, I think
that's a very adequate description. Thank you, Sandro. Top class. Thanks for joining us. Let's jump over to George now. George Joseph.
Hi, I'm George Joseph. I'm one of the core developers on the Asterisk project. I've been probably involved with Asterisk for about 11 years now, but started working with SIP about 20 years ago when I worked for Level 3. So it's kind of been a long road. And this is going to be interesting. We really want to test out stir-shaken tomorrow. So we're kind of waiting for that.
Good stuff. That's right. Some very mutually beneficial work to be done. Let's jump over now to Andreas Granig.
Hi, I'm Andreas. I'm working in voice over IP also since over 20 years now. Starting SIP development in 2004 with SARE, then OpenSARE and Camellia. currently, professionally, I'm working on a startup called SIPfront, which is focusing on SIP test automation. So obviously, OpenSIPIt is quite an opportunity for me to provide test tools. I'm here with two hats on simultaneously. On one hand, since I'm a Camellia developer, I'm going to represent the Camellia project, particularly tomorrow and the day after, for the steer shaking module tests. As you might know, we do have two steer shaking implementations, so I would like to test both of them. And on the other hand, I am in SIPfront using SIP'', the VoIP test tool, a lot. And as part of that, I was implementing steer shaking support in SIP'', in order for you guys to be able to automatically test steer shaking and not having to set up difficult test beds for that. And I've created a test protocol which we could go over tomorrow, potentially with around now it's around 15 to 20 tests with all kind of different scenarios. And I would like to test my SIP implementation on one hand, of course, and on the other hand, just try to assist you guys also testing your implementations and see where it goes.
Great. Thank you, Andreas. Okay, now let's move to Chris Rienzo. Looking very young there, Chris.
Oh, well, thank you, David. So I've been a contributor to the FreeSwitch project since about 2009. Been working at SignalWire now for about 2.5 years. It's always been kind of a desire of mine to work with Anthony Minasali, and so things kind of all lined up and finally got the opportunity, and so now I get to get paid to work on the FreeSwitch project day to day, and it's been great. So very excited to be a part of this this year as we add stir shake and support to Mod Sophia. We'll see what happens with that. I'm looking forward to breaking it.
Good stuff. Thank you. And Bogdan, now we'll go over to you, if we may.
Well, hi everyone. My name is Bogdan Janku, and let me think. Yeah, I think 2001 was the first time when I got in touch with the SIP, and it's well, because we are all right now under the threat of a virus. It's kind of a virus, it gets into your blood, and that's it. You are done. So since then it's just SIP in the morning, in the afternoon, in the evening. Worked in the early days the SIP Express router, following with the OpenSIP, and now working for the last 12 years with the OpenSIP stuff. Mainly trying to coordinate the project in terms of development, what are the plans, events around, strategy. And I have to admit that lately, regretting not having enough time to actually do some coding. That's all the time, at the end of the queue. But already having quite good experience and, let's say, history with Max in terms of participating together to different kind of events, either us participating to his event or Max participating to the OpenSIPs Summit. He did a great job last year with helping us on the technical side, and even more together with Livio. Now Max is pushing this new code for the new authentication support into OpenSIPs. Looking forward for the tests today. So yeah,
great, thank you. And I could tell that Max was so excited about your participation that he decided to bring a little bit of background noise in as a bit of cheerleading for you. just there, Bogdan. Good to have you along. Okay, let's jump over to Alfred, if we may.
Hi. I'm Alfred Farrugia. I'm a penetration tester and researcher at Enable Security. I'm also the main developer of SIPVicious Pro, which is really exciting. I look forward to two things here. Mainly test your systems and possibly find bugs and help you fix them, and also get more inspiration to make research, and build more tools for the community. So
great stuff. Good to have you along, Alfred. Thank you. And now Pavel down at the bottom in my screen.
Hey David. Hey everyone. My name is Pavel Busel. I'm quality assurance guy in CP Software, and actually I believe my main goal here would be finding some inspiration, finding some new knowledge for doing CP testing and SIP testing that I actually do day by day. So thanks Andreas for kind of shedding some light for those SIPP scenarios that you mentioned. So it would be really interesting to look into that. Thanks everyone.
Great. Thank you, Pavel. And what about you, Giovanni?
I'm long.
Oh, you just muted yourself, Giovanni.
I was thinking that I done the opposite. I'm long-time friends of open source community, and particularly real-time communication community. And I operate as an independent consultant, and I often collaborate with many of the people here. And I'm here more to be in the company of so much nice people and bright minds. And probably my contribution will be nothing, but I'm sending good vibration.
It's really good to have you along, Giovanni. Really good. And Dragos, please, over to you.
Yeah, guys, I'm with the FreeSwitch guys for several years. I think 2 years and several months actually. I was a contributor to FreeSwitch before. I worked with Gamaliel, FreeSwitch, OpenSIPIt before in several countries actually. And I've been at Nexmo before joining Signalware, and Nexmo in London. Nexmo is like CPaaS company. They got bought by Vonage. And at Signalware I do some public stuff and some stuff that I'm not allowed to talk about. And mostly RTP core stuff and fixes, and now some SIP stuff. I've coded something for the RFC8760, the one that we're supposed to test today. And actually 13 years ago I've been to my first SIPIt'. This is my second one. And I was in Lannion, France, together with Bogdan, and it was fun. I was working with him back then. 13 years ago, 2008.
Thank you. Okay, thank you, Dragos. Now let's go to Ben.
Hey everybody, my name is Ben Ford. I am a Asterisk developer alongside George. I've been working on it for about 4 years now. I worked on several things over that time. One of the bigger projects being Stir Shaken last year. So looking forward to the next couple of days. And this is my first OpenSIPIt'. So I'm excited to see how this goes.
Brilliant. Good to have you along. I think we've covered everybody now that I can see on my list. So thank you all for participating. I'm just going to go quiet a minute and just shout out if we didn't cover you, but I'm pretty sure we did. Have a go. Okay, that's great. Just since everybody gave a little bit of history, I feel I missed that out for me a bit. So I'd just like to tell you, I used to work for a company called Aculab, which was like a Dialogic equivalent based in the UK. And my earliest experiences with SIP was when the battle between H323 and SIP was going on. And we'd actually got a hardware card implemented that did ISDN 30 across to SIP. And I remember one day somebody came in and they'd got an opportunity for voice morphing somebody wanted to buy a voice morphing product, and I said, well, why don't we sell them one of our IP cards? Because that's pretty much all it was doing at the time. Anyway, when I realized that what it took a bunch of beardy developers, 10 months to do with an Aculab card could be done with Asterisk in a morning, that kind of changed my world. And I got more and more into the open source side of things and have loved it ever since. Anyway, just a little bit of a background. Back over to you, Max.
I actually probably need to repeat because it probably did not come through about Giovanni, but Giovanni helped us a lot. I was muted on the stream. Giovanni helped us a lot with the first pilot event, and basically really glad to have him back with us. Okay, now I put my slide on here. Oh yeah, and yeah, we got quite a lot of help from SIP community, and thanks everyone who joined us. But for those who are watching this, we basically, as I mentioned, we're going to continue on this path. So if you think that that is a good event for your project to be in, or if you're a commercial entity and you see value in us doing this effort to bring RFCs earlier rather than later and make sure they implement it correctly, consider helping us financially to make it even better event for everyone. And I think that's all I have on the official part. So if you, David or Liviu, want to add something?
Nothing further from me at the moment, Max.
No, I'm good as well.
Other than, of course, a massive gratitude to everybody for taking the time to join us.
Any questions from anyone in the chat? Online meeting.
I think most of the questions will be after the event.
Okay. That's why we have the closing sessions and all that. But yeah, we definitely see this after the past event. We see that it not necessarily the event itself is important, but also the fact that people make tests for their implementation, and then in between SIPIt, the stuff gets implemented and improved overall. All right, then if there is no other questions, I can go to the RFC8760 presentation. Bear with me. Switch it over. Okay, so RFC8760 A brief recap about RFC3261 digest authentication. US when it wants to authenticate caller or session originator, it generates challenge header, which is then inserted into 40x reply, and in that header it's supposed to supply several parameters. There is a nonce, realm, algorithm, coop. And then upon receiving that response, the UIC repeats the request after adding the authorization header, where it puts the username, sends back provided nonce, and also includes several other parameters like response and so on. Now, RFC8760 extends upon that. It basically the whole idea is that it allows UIC to put several authorization headers into a challenge, and then on the UIC part, it needs to be traverse upon receiving the SIP response, and it traverse them top to bottom and find the first algorithm that it supports and use that to generate the response, essentially. And also another thing that UIC is required to put authorization headers in a particular order, and it's, I think, mandated by RFC. So it goes from strongest algorithm to the weakest one. So that's the nutshell. Then looking at that from interoperability perspective, UIC, there is no mechanism for UIC to know if UAC is capable of processing RFC8760 headers when it generates a challenge, and obviously old UIC implementation might not expect multiple challenges in the SIP response. What also we found that most pre-RFC8760 UICs just don't look at algorithm at all, or at least the implementations that we looked at last year, open source implementations. And there is also quite few security considerations known to date. There is no, for example, any provision to prevent the downgrade attack. So if, for example, let's say we have UIC which only wants to enable particular strong hashes for authentication. It would not include MD5 header at all in that case. But then malicious UAC might take one of those headers and just send invite with MD5, and if naive implementation of UAS might just accept it without checking. Yeah. Then what we did to set it on, essentially, I implemented UIC and UAC in the Python B2BA stack and B2BA and SIP stack, and I believe enable security by the time of OpenSIPIt also came up with its own UIC implementation. And then we put it up for testing and found and fixed some issues on that end. And then during the OpenSIPIt, Dave Horton, which unfortunately is not in this in this meeting, but he did a pretty good job and basically implemented his own, I believe, UAS in the Dractio jump bonds in between one day and first day and second day. Only have 2 days last time, and then we validated that and fixed again several issues against enable security implementation. And now we also did a little bit of attempt to test those backward interoperability issues with other projects that were represented at last time, which is OpenSIPs and SIPIT''01. We also have Giovanni helps us with the free switch a little bit. We identified a few issues that were easily circumvented with the help of Livio in OpenSIPs. There was also, I believe, at least some discussion about bug report in SIPP project, and maybe something else.
SN grep.
Yeah, and also yes, also during the testing, we even though we did not really plan to test SN grep at all, but by the fact that Livio was using it to capture traffic, he found a bug in the parser there, causing the crash essentially. Few issues have been filed and reported as a result. And then after OpenSIPIt', our first OpenSIPIt', also did a little bit of work to implement full RFC8760 in OpenSIPs, both UIC and UAC. And since I think Livio has merged it last week, unless I missed something, which is great. So we now have our OpenSIPs should be fully capable of handling both UIC and UAC accordingly. As been mentioned, I believe it's been confirmed. So free switch has something to test, which is great. And also we want maybe check with a few pre-RFC8760 UASs, which is Asterisk and Camellia. Make sure it or at least check if what the status, how it forward compatibility right now stands. So yeah, basically the plan for today would be at the very least give OpenSIPs UAS and UAC code good testing against other implementations in the room. And by the way, Andrei, did you get some of that implemented in Go version?
No, I'm currently working, however, on that, okay. But it's big enough.
Okay, no worries. And then would be nice probably to test that what we tested last September still works. There are some code improvements done after the last OpenSIPIt'. And as I mentioned, if we can get Camellia and Asterisk UIC tested against some or all RFC8760 UASs, depending on the outcome. Yeah, and for if we happen to have some extra time, we want to check what the status of the session variants of hashing algorithms. Technically speaking, we have not 3 algorithms. We also have session variants, which I found to be pretty much disabled in since SIR and all projects that are derived from that in one form or another. And then I already fixed it in OpenSIP's patch, so we can try to see if we can test it against other projects. And then there is a generic issue which one I mentioned for the hashing algorithm downgrade, which is specific for the RFC8760. So we can see if we can test that somehow. And there is also possibility of generic QOP downgrade, I believe, which is not RFC8760 specific, but affects I think all RFC8662 implementation. And basically the idea is that whenever UAS wants to do full check of the body and all that of the message, he puts QOP aus -int parameter, but malicious UAC could technically return just shortest version of the hash without checking the body. And then we could also test UAS resistance against digest replay attack. I think at least from my knowledge, Camellia and OpenSIPs have the code to prevent it. I'm not quite sure if what the status of that in other projects. So yeah, that's more or less what I have on today plan. So and the idea is that after we conclude this opening session, we'll move to the Slack channel and we'll coordinate there with regards to what we're doing on the testing side, and return in about 3 hours for the short closing session and just summarize everything.
I guess this is another good any questions time, isn't it, Max?
Yeah, it is.
Is anybody here in the conference not on the Slack channel at this stage?
I think I'm not yet. I'll fix that. Oh no, I am. It's just on my other computer. Did someone say they've implemented the session variants already?
Yeah, we have it in OpenSIPs or so. Well, basically, I implemented it in Python B2B, and then I created some test scenarios based on that. And so I use those test scenarios to test OpenSIPs. So it basically tested against at least 2 implementations. But I implemented both. So
is it just the input to the hash that's different?
Yeah, the parameters are a little bit in different order, I believe, and so some of the code I've seen just ignored those. Essentially, some of them been omitted.
Later, could you paste how you're building the hashes out so we can probably implement that pretty quick. So.
Okay, yeah, might be some easy fix for you guys.
Sure.
I think we might also have support for that, but I'm waiting for Alfred to return to confirm.
Okay.
How logistically are we going to do the head-to-head testing? Just coordinate in the Slack channel and say, hit me here and that kind of stuff? Or?
Yeah, essentially what we did, we set up with internal DNS resolution. So essentially, you guys can send traffic to each other by using those names. And for depending on which which project and what capabilities are there. So for proxies, what we used to do with the proxies last time, we basically asked Pavel to send initiate some calls, and then we terminated them with some of the test code I had, I believe. So basically we build a chain, so from one to another, depending on what is possible.
Well, I guess if there's no further questions and everybody's already in the Slack channel, we could probably dismiss, couldn't we, Max?
Sure, yeah, we can go there. Maybe give everyone like 5-minute break to fill the coffees and whatnot. And yeah, for everyone watching on YouTube, we'll be back. We'll be back in 3 hours, probably live already, and report about the progress that we made.
Good stuff. Thank you, Max.
All right, I guess thanks everyone, and yeah, let's go do it.
Okay, see you in the Slack in a few minutes' time.